What I learned pretty quickly was that aggregation is a really powerful form of journalism because number one, it gets you reading all the news, it gets you making connections that you may not have made otherwise, but it also gets you in touch with different people. People, will say, oh, I saw you linked to this, you should take a look at this. You start to make those connections, you start to build a more sort of robust network of sources and ideas, and that makes for better blog posts, but better columns, so on and so forth. The other big shift is social media, and I can tell you, in my world, it's almost entirely Twitter is the main way that I'm interacting on social media. Facebook is important, and it's actually more important on the reporting side, and but Twitter has changed the way you interact with your audience. Let's say you're at a hearing. There's a base. It's a staple of political journalism. You have to cover a hearing, so you have to be thinking about doing 3 or 4 different kinds of journalism. So you're right away. You're thinking about, I got to tweet what's going on because there's people who want the blow-by-blow of what's happening. I need to think about blog posts that for the near term, feeding our website. So I need to figure out what's important that happened that people need to know about now that I can kind of digest and spit out in 300 or 400 words. I need to think about if I'm covering this for the paper, what a daily story is going to say. How am I going to sum up everything that happened and put it in context for a daily audience. And beyond that, maybe I'm working on an analysis piece, or I'm working on something with like a weekend sort of thing that sort of steps back and looks at what happened at this hearing in the context of a greater story. So it's hard to juggle when you're in the moment. Like, should I be tweeting this? How taking notes and then trying to digest this in all these different ways. Basically, the argument that's been made is that Twitter is less like a newspaper and more like the newsroom chatter. Where you talk about, like, where is the story going? What are the, that's not to say it's permissible to say, 2 trains crash, everybody's dead, when you don't know that. I mean, obviously that's beyond the pale, but this is an example where standards are evolving, and I'm pretty conservative on those questions, so I try to be mindful of that. I mean, certainly there have been instances where I've had to, basically say mea culpa. I was wrong, and basically all you can do, and just to maintain the confidence of your followers, is just own up when you got something wrong. I mean, I think that as long as you do that, you're in okay shape. Political reporters at their peril need to realize that people who may be using on Twitter or Facebook or whatever might be a self-selecting group, and you may be getting only one side of the story. There's people who just may not be on there, who may have differing perspectives. So that's something we try to be mindful of.